Thank you so much for joining us. Did you know that 99% of people have PFAS chemicals in their blood, including unborn babies? These forever chemicals are found in countless everyday items, from food packaging to clothing, to even drinking water. You might be exposed to PFAS through contaminated tap water, eating fish from polluted waters, or using nonstick cookware. Even the dust in your home could contain PFAS from stain-resistant carpets and water-repellent fabrics. But there is power to knowledge. Getting your PFAS levels tested can be an empowering step towards, taking control of your health. Understanding your personal exposure can help you make informed decisions about your environment and the lifestyle. And with this information, you can, take actions to reduce your PFAS exposure, your PFAS intake, and protect yourself and loved ones. This is why we're so glad to be chatting on IG Live today with Dr. Richard Ko, CEO of Relentless Health, a PFAS test that done by collecting your blood at home and mailing it to Relentless Health laboratory for analysis. So during this live, we are going to discuss common PFAS exposures, which occupations are at the highest risk of PFAS exposures, how to test for PFAS, and much more. I saw he Hi, Richard. We
Yeah,
never.
sorry. Yeah, sorry for the technical difficulties. I haven't used Instagram Live, so I had to enable a bunch of things. So here we are. Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We're being asked all the time by our customers and people from all over the world actually asking about PFAS testing. So we're so glad Relentless have this offering. But before we start, tell us a little bit about yourself and what led you becoming the CEO of Relentless Health.
Thanks for inviting us, and great to see you again, Jenna. Yeah, so I spent 25 years in healthcare and healthcare technology, and working on innovations that try to help as many people and patients as possible. And I'm a toxicologist by training, and one of the things that I've always been thinking about is how do we do something about all of the different toxin exposures in our lives, in our everyday lives, and help make improvements there. And that led me to joining Relentless Health about a year ago and helping to develop and launch this PFAS test. So yeah, I look forward to talking more about that in a minute.
Yeah, so for those who are not aware or don't know, like tell us about Relentless Health.
Yeah, so Relentless Health is a healthcare technology company with a focus on providing easy to use toxin tests at home. And we started off by developing, as I said, this PFAS test because it's an area that we saw as a huge unmet need, and people are wanting to understand their PFAS levels, but it's not easy to get that information. And so, we set out to do that. And that's our current focus. But we also want to help people in other ways in the future with additional testing capabilities. And so that's all in our plans as well.
That's so awesome. Now let's like talk about
Yeah.
PFAS. I gave like a really brief introduction, but tell us what are PFAS and why are they such a concern?
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of your audience knows what PFAS is, but what it stands for is perfluoral and polyfluoral alkyl substances. It's a mouthful, so we just say PFAS. There's probably tens of thousands of PFAS chemicals that were made throughout the last 70 years or so. It started off in the 50s and 40s, probably. And they were made, these are man made chemicals that have useful properties like stain resistance, water repelling, even heat resistant, non-stick. There's a lot of good things about these chemicals that make our lives easier. But as many of you know, and as you know, Jenna, there's lots of toxicities involved with that as well. And so, yeah, PFAS stands for perfluoral polyfluoroalkyl substances, as we said. And these are chemicals that have a lot of fluorines. If for
Mhm.
the geeks out there that want to get into the chemistry, it's carbon chains with a bunch of fluorines on them, and that's what gives it its different properties of being very useful.
So what are the ways that PFAS enter the body? You mentioned that, it has all these applications. Are those applications the way they enter the body, or there are other ways too?
Yeah, I mean, I think first it's good to know where they come from. So they're in everyday products like your nonstick pans, your rain jackets, even, or your stain resistant furniture or carpet. Even your water is contaminated with PFAS in many places. So, first it's understanding where it's coming from, but um, the way that it gets into your body is many different ways. One is through consumption. So, if you're drinking PFAS contaminated water, and by the way, there's probably over 2,000 different municipal water sources that have high levels of PFAS. And so that's a problem, obviously. And if you're drinking that straight from the tap, then you're getting PFAS. So, it'll be one major source. But then another is just even in our food and our environment, animals that are raised on these contaminated sites, or even crops that are produced using contaminated pesticides or fertilizers, etc., all have PFAS, and so we're consuming PFAS through these ways. It's also possible to inhale PFAS. So if there's aerosolized PFAS, or in the home, it's actually probably most common when you're running around on your rug or carpet. And if it's been stain resistance treated or it's got a treatment, then those particles can get into the air and you're inhaling that as well. And then, of course, recent studies have actually shown that it can absorb through the skin as well. And that's, if you're wearing a rain jacket that's coated in PFAS and it breaks down, and, that could absorb through the skin. So those are some of the ways that it gets into your body.
Oh, wow. And we're also learning studies that, PFAS is extremely problematic in a workplace, especially for firefighters. So why is that?
Yeah, firefighters in particular have a challenge with PFAS. There's a couple of reasons. So one is, and I don't know how familiar folks are with this, but there's a foam that firefighters use to fight synthetic and challenging fires. And so instead of spraying water on a fire, for example, there's this foam. It's called AFFF. And until a couple of years ago, that AFFF foam was made out of very high concentrations of PFAS chemicals. So think about, I mean, like PFAS is, water resistant, heat resistant, et cetera, et cetera. So what it does is it just smothers the fire, and it does a great job of putting out fires, but it's all PFAS. And so this has been in use since the 1970s, and a lot of firefighters have been exposed that way. And that includes not only just your civilian firefighters, but also airport firefighters, military firefighters, and so on. And so, yeah, that's a key source. And that even the gear that firefighters wear, their bunker gear, their turnout gear, their protective equipment, has PFAS on it to provide heat resistance, and water repelling, et cetera, et cetera. So these are different sources that firefighters get exposed to.
That's so crazy. So if you're like having concerns about your PFAS levels, like what are the things that you should ask a physician about?
Well, this is, I think, one of the interesting things about where we are as patients and in healthcare in the US, especially nowadays, is that because PFAS is just becoming more and more of a concern, I think your average physician may or may not know enough about this topic, right? And so you, as the consumer, might have to do some education. But it's really about, hey, I have concerns about PFAS, and this is something that I'd like to try to understand better or manage. And, some physicians may refer you to an occupational medicine specialist or a toxicology specialist, for example. Or they may help you look up information, from different sources, medical sources, etc. One of the guidelines that physicians use is called NASEM, which is the National Academy of Science, Engineering, and Medicine, and they have guidelines for PFAS as well. So these are resources that your physician can help guide you with.
Yeah. And then we know that if you actually have high PFAS level, the guide actually tell you need to be checking your cholesterol, you need to be checking your liver enzymes. So it's very, very the health impact is real.
That's right. And, we almost think of our test as similar to like a lipid panel, for example. You do that manually, typically. Well, some people, most people, I don't know, hopefully. And it's like a signal to, hey, if you have high LDL, you should do something about that, et cetera, et cetera. And knowing your PFAS levels is kind of the same thing, where if you have very high levels of certain PFAS chemicals, you'll want to do additional screening, additional tests, track your enzymes, as well as potential, preventative screening for cancer as well. So these are all things that you can look into.
So we're all about testing because we really believe like knowledge is power. So
Absolutely.
you kind of answered my next question because my next question is like, why should someone consider a PFAS test? So basically, you said, with the information, then you can take action. If you check it annually, it'll be kind of like your lipid test will inform you like the next preventative step.
Absolutely. And, I think it depends on the person, but some folks, like you mentioned, firefighters and other professions that have high exposures, for sure, it'd be good to have this knowledge. And then, even for all of us, the average person, I mean, we are really learning more about the impacts of PFAS on health. And it runs the gamut. Your entire body is impacted by PFAS. And so, the more that we know, the earlier we can do something about these things. And as they say, prevention is better than a cure. So instead of waiting till you get cancer or waiting till you have this issue or that issue, getting an early read on that through PFAS testing is good.
Absolutely. So how do people conduct a PFAS test?
Yeah, so I mean, traditionally, you could actually ask your physician for a lab test. This isn't typically done though because it only covers, I think, 5 or 6 different PFAS chemicals, and fairly uncommon for the average physician to order that test. And so, yeah, what we've developed is a simple at-home kit, and you just order it on our website. You don't even need a physician order. You don't have to visit. There you go. You got it right there. Yeah, so that'll get shipped to you in the mail, and the kit has everything you need to take your sample. It's very straightforward. Um,
I can demonstrate that we got really nice instructions and then even have a QR code you can scan to register your kit. I actually just took the test today
Nice,
and
nice.
a easily mailing envelope with a return shipping label to return, even band-aid for you to
Well, so yeah, why don't you tell the audience about your experience taking the test? What was it like?
I think it's pretty easy, very similar to other blood tests. I think the only thing maybe people need to be aware is that it definitely require a little more blood than your typical blood tests that, at home blood tests you would get it say from Everly Well, for example, because those are like a circle blood spot that they have like a few. This one is more like a kind of a Q-tip
Yep.
like tip that you have to soak your blood in.
Yeah.
So it does require a little bit of blood, but the process is I think it's pretty simple.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's great to hear. And yeah, for the again the geeks out there, it's about 20 to 30 microliters of blood, which as Jenna showed, if you're holding up your hand and you're squeezing your fingertip, you'll leave a sampler on there for probably 4 to 5 seconds, and just got to get the right amount, and that's what that does. But yeah, I mean, it's you take it at home, and then once you ship it, it goes to our central lab in Reno, Nevada. It's a CLIA certified lab, registered with CMS and the state of Nevada, and we run all of our samples there, provide simple results in a dashboard, and you get to see your results for 18 different PFAS chemicals, what they mean, what to do about it, and suggestions for, of course, how to reduce exposures and all of that good stuff.
How long does it take to get the results back?
Right now, we are saying 10 business days, but it's actually typically sooner than that. But don't quote me. I'm sure our lab director will be like, what did you say?" But yeah, typically 10 business days.
So you mentioned that it'll be through the results delivery will be through a portal, and then you would get your levels. Do you get some comparison, and then I know you also get some actionable steps
That's
after.
correct. So the dashboard shows your levels, as I said, and the comparison is against what's called the NHANES data set. So you're probably familiar with that, which is the National Health and
Nutrition.
Nutrition Ditch survey or something. Yep, exactly. So, but this is something that the government runs in the U.S. Annually, I believe, and they measure PFAS levels for a subset of compounds, and we provide a reference range using that. Um, Going forward, probably sometime early next year, we'll start adding other users' anonymized ranges as well. So you can start comparing to people by categories like male, female, or geography, or age, things of that nature. And so the more as we have more and more folks testing, we'll use that data to share anonymized results as well, so you can compare.
This is really cool because, since we're being asked, and then before you guys, the the tests that we were aware of are like, doctor ordered. It's like five PFASs, but yeah, as you mentioned, there are like literally thousands of them out there. Then we knew there's the Eurofin developed PFAS, and that's 16 testing panel. I think people can still order, but the turnaround time I heard is like over 6 months. So yeah, I've been kind of like stuck until you guys showed up. So we're really excited, and not only this test cover 18 PFASs, which is the highest number that people can get,
Yep.
but also with lower pricing and also shorter turnaround time.
Yes.
Pretty easy collection process, so I would say.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and those are all very important aspects of our test. Obviously, we want to make it as convenient and easy as possible, as well as affordable, of course. So these are all what we've been working on.
So how can people get a test?
Oh, just go straight to our website. That's it. Relentlesshealth.com. All one word. Relentlesshealth.com. Yeah.
Or anything else you'd like to share today?
Oh, Jenna, this has been a great conversation. And I think, as I said, we're just getting to know what PFAS is like really doing to our bodies. And I know there's all sorts of other toxins and chemicals out there that we are all concerned about, microplastics, for example, BPA, et cetera, et cetera. But PFAS is right in that category, which is, these things really do impact our health. And we have hundreds and thousands of studies showing that. And so, it's important to get that word out there. And for anyone who's interested or concerned about their general well-being to specific, disease concerns, they should really look into whether PFAS is playing a role.
Absolutely. We can't wait for the future studies and all the data, splitting by gender, age, location. So we're gonna have to invite you back to talk more as Relentless like grow bigger.
Absolutely happy to do it.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks,
Okay,
Jenna.
talk to you soon. Bye.